Good evening. Take a moment. Take a moment right here, right now, and feel the seat beneath you. Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs. I want you to connect with this moment because this is the only moment that truly matters. Many of us live predictable lives, not because we want to, but because we've been conditioned to. We wake up, we think the same thoughts, we feel the same feelings, we make the same choices, and we produce the same outcomes. We are living in a loop, a cycle driven by a familiar identity. Self is a collection of memories, beliefs, and emotional reactions wired into our very being. It's comfortable, but it's also limiting. If you want a different future, you must become a different person. To step into the magnificent unknown that awaits you, first dissolve the known self. Here are the 7 fundamental shifts required to make that quantum leap. The very first and arguably most critical step in transforming your life is simply stopping and observing the mechanism of your own mind. Think of your mind, your body, and your environment as a feedback loop. Your environment signals to your body triggers an emotion, and that emotion drives a thought. And that thought drives a choice, which reinforces the same environment. Endless cycle is your default setting, and it runs mostly on autopilot outside of your conscious awareness. For the majority of people, this default setting is simply the subconscious program derived from years of repetition. It's a habit, comfortable groove etched into your brain's gray matter. If you always wake up and the first thing you think about is the problem you have, or the person who angered you, or the lack you are experiencing, you are firing and wiring the same circuitry. You are literally biologically recreating the past in your present moment. The old self, the familiar self, is simply a collection of these redundant thoughts and feelings. It is a neurological and chemical signature tied to a memory of who you used to be. To begin to step into the unknown, you must first become conscious of the known. You must move from being the program, the victim of your unconscious thoughts and reactions, to becoming the observer of that program. It requires a profound level of intentional pausing. When an old self-defeating thought arises, such as, I'm not good enough, or this will never work, do not react to it. Do not dive into the feeling it wants to generate. Instead, hold it in your awareness as if it were a strange object you are examining. Say to yourself, there's that old program of unworthiness running again. By becoming the observer, you are effectively separating yourself from the program. You are introducing a gap between the stimulus and the response. In that gap lies your true power. It is the space where free will actually resides. This is a scientific fact. When you observe your thought or emotion, part of your brain responsible for that habitual response begins to quiet down. You are literally unwiring the past. This practice of self-observation must extend beyond just your thoughts. You need to observe your emotional reactions, too. Is your automatic response when someone cuts you off in traffic? What is the immediate rush of energy you feel when you receive a negative email? Is it anger, frustration, or fear? These emotions are simply the chemical residue of your past experiences, are keeping your body anchored in the past. To become aware of them is to stop them from controlling your future. The goal is to catch yourself in the act of being the old self. Every time you successfully observe an old habit, be it biting your nails, complaining, or feeling resentment, without engaging in it, you are making a new choice. This new choice sends a completely different signal to your body and your brain. You are signaling that you are no longer defined by your past emotional history. You are breaking the chains of familiar. This commitment to awareness is not passive, it is active and intentional. It is the courageous act of shining a light on the darkest corners of your unconscious mind, a necessary confrontation with the self you need to let go of. Without this conscious awareness, you are doomed to repeat the past. Therefore, begin today by committing to be the relentless, non-judgmental observer of your inner world, identifying those default settings that are keeping you stuck in the known. If the first step is about observing the mind, the second step is about liberating the body. Your body is not just a vessel, it is your subconscious mind. It has been conditioned over years to memorize the emotional states associated with your past experiences. This conditioning creates an emotional signature, a chemical state that your body has become addicted to. Every time you recall a past trauma, injustice, You're releasing your brain signals to your body, releasing the corresponding stress hormones and chemical messengers. Your body then physically responds as if the event is happening now, keeping you firmly tethered to the past about what an emotion truly is. It is the end product of an experience. When you have an experience, the brain produces thoughts, and those thoughts trigger the release of chemicals, emotions that flood your body. When you keep thinking the same thoughts related to that past event, you keep producing the same emotions. Eventually, this repetition conditions your body to anticipate and crave those familiar chemicals. This is why people can become physiologically addicted to suffering, anger, or even self-pity. Their body has come to rely on that emotional signature as its standard operating procedure. To truly step into the unknown, you must break this addiction. Dismantle the emotional signature of the past that is literally dictating your present reality. This is often where the hardest work lies because the body, in its conditioned state, will resist. When you attempt to move away from the familiar emotion, say, anxiety, your body might send desperate signals to your brain, making you feel restless, uncomfortable, or compelling you to seek out a situation that will trigger that old familiar feeling. This is the moment of choice, the point of transformation. The critical technique here is to consciously choose a higher emotion when the old one surfaces. When the feeling of fear, guilt, or inadequacy arises, your immediate programmed reaction is usually to wallow in it, analyze it, or react from it. Instead, interrupt that flow. Acknowledge the feeling without feeding it. Do not analyze why you feel guilty. Instead, observe the guilt and consciously pivot. You cannot effectively create a new future while standing in the chemical state of your old one. You cannot expect abundance while feeling lack. You cannot expect health while feeling stress. Therefore, you must generate the emotions of your future: gratitude, joy, freedom, love, independent of your external circumstances. Is the ultimate act of creative power. When you sit down for your daily creation time, or when you simply catch yourself falling into an old emotional rut, intentionally generate a state of heartfelt gratitude. Find something, anything, to be profoundly thankful for. The moment you shift your internal state from a stress-based emotion to an elevated emotion, you change your chemistry. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools for dismantling the past because it immediately shifts your focus from what is lacking or what went wrong to what is present and right. When you practice this long enough, consistently interrupting the old emotional programs and replacing them with elevated states, you begin to signal to your genes in new, healthier ways. You stop signaling the body to live in a state of emergency, start signaling it to live in a state of harmony and balance. You are literally conditioning your body to crave a higher state of being. You are telling your body, your subconscious mind, that the past is over. By dissolving the chemical residue of past emotions, you sever the energetic ties that bind you to the identity of the old self, finally freeing yourself to embrace the uncharted territory of the unknown. Transformation is not a sudden epiphany. It is a gradual, deliberate process of subtraction, of consciously shedding the layers of the person you no longer intend to be. This profound concept of dying to the old self daily means recognizing that the old you is a program, a collective set of predictable habits, thoughts, emotions that, if left unchecked, will hijack your attempts at change. The known self is comfortable, predictable, and finite. The unknown self is limitless. And to access it, you must dismantle the known framework on a moment-to-moment basis. Daily process of self-extinction must be an intentional, meditative act, ideally performed at the beginning of your day, before the rush of the external world takes hold. You must make a conscious commitment to eliminate the limiting aspects of your identity. Begin by reviewing the self you wish to leave behind. What are the specific habits you want to break? Is it the habit of complaining, the habit of self-doubt, the habit of reaching for your phone the moment you wake up? List these not as moral failings, simply as outdated programs that no longer serve your future. Once you have identified these aspects, the thoughts, the automatic reactions, the small choices, you must consciously let them dissolve. Picture them, feel the resonance of those old emotions. With unwavering intention, mentally declare that you are releasing them. You are consciously pulling the energy and attention away from those neural networks. This is a crucial step because you cannot create a new identity while simultaneously holding onto the energetic signature of the old one. Every time you consciously withdraw your attention from an old program, that circuit begins to prune itself. Your imagination to visualize the death of that old personality, see it fading away, dissolving to pure potential. The act of ding is a letting go, a surrender of control. The ego, invested in maintaining the known identity because it equates it with safety, will resist fiercely. When you try to make a new choice, the body, still addicted to the familiar emotional chemicals, will likely send signals of restlessness, anxiety, or discomfort. This is the biological craving for the old self. This discomfort is precisely where the transformation happens. When you feel the urge to react, to complain, or to succumb to fear, that is the old self attempting to resurrect itself. Your job is to observe that urge, breathe through it, and choose the new response. This moment by moment victory over your conditioned self is the daily practice of dying. This practice extends into your choices throughout the day. When you catch yourself thinking a cynical thought, you are consciously choosing to interrupt it. When you feel the urge to lash out in anger, you consciously choose stillness. Each of these interruptions is a miniature death of the old self and a birth of the new. Are telling your body with every new choice that you are no longer defined by your history. You are conditioning your body to accept a new mind and a new emotional signature. The commitment must be total. You are not just trying to improve the old self. You are striving to become unrecognizable to your past self. This means that every time you engage in your daily creation practice, you are essentially committing suicide to the known and welcoming the unknown. You are taking the energy that was once bound up in your negative, repetitive emotional cycles and freeing it up to build a brand new destiny. This courageous daily act of self-extinction is the forge in which the powerful, limitless self of your future is molded. Step into the unknown is to move into a realm of pure potential, a place where all possibilities exist. However, you cannot access or attract those possibilities if your current energetic state, your consciousness, is rooted in the low frequency emotions of survival and the past. Your thoughts and feelings create an electromagnetic field, a vibration that constantly broadcasts information into the quantum field. You are constantly thinking negative thoughts and feeling corresponding low-level emotions like fear, anxiety, or unworthiness. You are energetically broadcasting a frequency that only matches and manifests more of the same scarcity and distress. Therefore, fundamental shift requires you to consciously elevate your energy to match the frequency of your desired future before that future has physically manifested. Stop waiting for the external world to change before you allow yourself to feel good. Most people live in a state where they believe they need a reason to be happy. I'll be happy when I get the job, or I'll feel successful when I have the money. This is the paradigm of cause and effect, where the external reality dictates the internal state. Create the unknown. You must reverse this model. You must generate the elevated emotion of your future first, making your internal state the cause and the external manifestation the effect. Practice involves intense focusing on the vision of your future self, and most importantly, emotionally embodying your destiny now. You must ask yourself, what would I feel if my dream reality were already true? If I were already successful, abundant, healthy, what is the dominant emotion I would experience? Is it joy, freedom, gratitude, or absolute love for life? Once you identify that elevated feeling, you must practice generating it purely from intention, disconnecting it entirely from your present circumstances. This is a powerful act of mind over matter. When you genuinely generate a feeling of profound gratitude, for instance, your heart begins to beat with a more coherent, rhythmic pattern. Creates a stronger, more organized electromagnetic field emanating from your heart, the primary field generator of your body. This elevated, coherent energy state acts like a powerful magnet, allowing you to draw experiences to you that match this new, higher frequency. You are literally signaling the universe that you are ready for a new reality. The key is to sustain this elevated state long enough for your body to believe it is already living that reality. Rehearse the feeling so intensely that your body's chemistry begins to change. The stress hormones subside and the body begins to release beneficial, restorative chemicals. You are signaling your genes to turn on new health and wellness patterns. Feeling successful before the success arrives, you are programming your body to move out of the familiar, known state of lack and into the unknown, limitless state of abundance. When the old, low-level emotional programming tries to creep back in, and it will, you must use your awareness to catch it and immediately pivot back to the elevated feeling. This is the moment of true willpower and transformation. Every time you successfully choose gratitude over anxiety, you are recalibrating your energy, bringing you one step closer to being an exact vibrational match for the future you desire. By consistently living in the elevated emotion of your future, you move beyond mere hope and expectation into a state of knowing, most potent creative energy of all. You become the frequency, and the unknown begins to organize itself to meet your new signal. The fifth essential step in transitioning from the known self to the unknown is the conscious, consistent construction and intensive holding of the vision of your future self. This is not just daydreaming. This is deliberate mental and emotional rehearsal designed to rewire your brain and recondition your body, turning potential into physical reality. Once you have observed your default settings, dismantled old emotional signatures, died to the old self, and begun elevating your energy, you must dedicate time daily to becoming the architect of your future identity. Your brain is organized to reflect everything you have experienced and have practiced thinking and feeling. If you are going to embrace a new future, an unknown territory, you must create new neural pathways that correspond to that future reality. You do this through focused, repetitive mental rehearsal. In a deeply relaxed, creative state, you must spend time every day intensely focused on the person you are becoming. Ask yourself detailed questions. What are the new choices the future me makes? The future me walk, talk, and behave. What is the feeling of that new life? You must move beyond simple, abstract affirmations and engage your mind in a multisensory, richly textured visualization. For instance, future self is a person of profound peace. You must rehearse the thoughts of peace. You must see yourself acting peacefully in traditionally stressful situations. And critically, you must feel the deep, resonant emotion of peace flowing through you. Mental rehearsal must be so vivid and so consistent that the new experience, currently existing only in your mind, begins to feel more real than your current physical reality. When you repeatedly fire the same sequence of neurons and pair it with an elevated emotion, the brain, which cannot tell the difference between a real life experience and one that is vividly imagined, begins to change. New neural pathways are built, literally preparing the hardware of your brain for the new reality you are commanding it to create. You are installing the neurological software of your future self. Paramount that you do this practice in a way that minimizes external distractions and achieves a deep state of brainwave coherence, typically a meditative state. By quieting the body and the analytical mind, you gain access to the operating system of the subconscious, where you can install these new programs without the interference of doubt or the old critical voice. In this state, the energy of your intention, the clear vision, marries the energy of your elevated emotion, the feeling of the future. The combination of clear intention and elevated feeling creates the most powerful electromagnetic signal broadcast into the field. Power of this consistent mental rehearsal is that it starts to program your body to respond to the environment of the future rather than the environment of the past. As your brain begins to fire these new circuits, your body starts to generate the new chemicals associated with that future reality. You are, quite literally, giving your body a taste of its future. When you step out of your creation time, you must maintain the energetic coherence achieved during the practice. When you face a challenge during your day, you instantly return to the feeling and the vision of your future self and make the choice that that person would make, not the old self. This practice requires persistence. Circuits of the past will fight for survival. There will be days when the feeling doesn't come easily, or the mind wanders back to the problems of the present. But every time you pull your attention back to the vision, every time you choose to intensely hold that mental picture and marry it with the elevated emotion, you are strengthening the new, desired circuits and accelerating your transition into the unknown. You are no longer waiting for circumstances to change you. You are changing your circumstances by becoming the embodiment of your future self now. The process of profound transformation inevitably leads to a pivotal and often terrifying stage, the moment of trusting the void between identities. This is the space, quantum gap, that exists after you have successfully let go of the old self, but before the new reality is fully materialized in your physical world. This phase is challenging precisely because it lacks the familiar anchor of the past and the tangible evidence of the future. It is a state of genuine uncertainty, a feeling of nothingness that triggers the survival mechanisms of the brain. When you consistently stop thinking the same thoughts, stop feeling the same emotions, and stop making the same choices, you are pulling the plug on the old familiar identity. The brain and body, which thrive on predictability, suddenly enter a state of disorientation. The body, addicted to the chemistry of the past, be it fear, anger, or comfort, will protest vehemently. You might feel restless, anxious, empty, or even depressed. These are not signs that the process is failing. They are, paradoxically, evidence that the old self is disintegrating. The body is throwing a tantrum because its chemical fix has been withdrawn and is trying to compel you to return to the known state, even if that known state was one of suffering. Majority of people quit the transformative journey during this void. They retreat back to the known because the pain of the familiar seems less threatening than the discomfort of the unknown. They return to old relationships, old habits, patterns, just to feel something predictable again. This void is the ultimate test of your faith and your commitment. It is the proving ground where your true mettle is revealed. To successfully navigate this period, remember that you are in a state of creation, and creation takes place in a period of non-manifestation. You have done the internal work. You have planted the seed of your future vision and fertilized it with elevated emotion. Now, the seed is germinating beneath the soil. You cannot see the roots growing, but they are. Your job to dig up the seed to see if it's working. Your job to continue watering it with your sustained, elevated energy and your unwavering focus. Trusting the void means surrendering the need to know the how, the when, and the where of the manifestation. When you insist on knowing these details, you are trying to use the limited analytical mind, the one that created the old problems, organize an infinite reality. The unknown is not organized by linear thought, it is organized by consciousness and energy. Your task is simply to maintain the energetic coherence of your future self, regardless of what your current senses tell you. When the urge to panic arises, you must consciously pivot back to the elevated emotion you rehearsed in your creation time. Feel the freedom, the joy, or the wholeness of your future self now. This persistence in maintaining your energetic frequency, even when your external reality shows no evidence of change, is the bridge across the void. Every time you choose the new feeling over the familiar fear, you are demonstrating a profound trust in the inherent intelligence of the universe. You are proving to yourself and to the field that your internal reality is more real and more commanding than your external one. This sustained focus, this holding the line in the face of uncertainty, ultimately causes the universe to reorganize itself and deliver the unknown into your tangible experience. It is the final necessary hurdle before your new identity fully emerges. The culmination of the transformative process, the final and perhaps most liberating step in stepping into the unknown, is the practice of surrendering to a greater intelligence. After the intense internal work, observing the self, dismantling emotional signatures, dying to the past, elevating energy, holding the vision and enduring the void, you must move from the stance of a striving, controlling individual to one of profound surrender and trust. The known self, the ego, is intrinsically linked to control. It wants to figure out every single step to force the outcome and organize the manifestation according to its limited linear understanding. This impulse for control is a survival mechanism rooted in the stress hormones of the past. It is the very energy that blocks the unknown from arriving. Creation from a space of stress and control generates a low-frequency, incoherent signal. You cannot use the same controlling, finite mind that created the old reality to command the infinite possibilities of the new one. You have performed your internal creative work. Once you have clearly set your intention and elevated your emotional state to match that future, your job is essentially done. You have sent the command. Now, the final crucial act is to release the control and trust the process. This means consciously giving your creation over to the universal mind, to the field of consciousness, or to the greater intelligence that organizes all things. Surrender is not an act of passivity or giving up. It is the ultimate act of faith and power. You are saying, in effect, I have done my part. I have become the frequency of my future. Now, universal mind, you take the how, you orchestrate the people, the opportunities, the events, and the synchronicity in ways that are far superior to my limited analytical planning. When you surrender, you move out of the energy of forcing and into the energy of allowing. You stop trying to manipulate the outcome and start allowing the outcome to unfold naturally, guided by an intelligence that operates beyond space and time. The most beautiful manifestations arrive when we are least expecting them, precisely because in that moment of non-expectation, we are in a state of high creative coherence and low analytical resistance. When you are forcing the outcome, you are transmitting a signal of lack and effort. When you are surrendered, you are transmitting a signal of wholeness and trust. This trust activates a powerful state of mind that is receptive to the unexpected and the miraculous. The evidence that you have truly surrendered is the feeling of peace and detachment. You are no longer anxiously checking your email, worrying about the timeline, or obsessing over the details. Instead, you are resting in the state of your elevated feeling, knowing that the universe is working on your behalf. Synchronicity becomes the new normal. Unexpected opportunities appear. The right people show up at the perfect moment. These are the signs that the universe is meeting your energetic blueprint. If you find yourself reverting to control, worry, or forcing the issue, a sign that the old self is trying to sneak back in. Simply observe that impulse, acknowledge that it is the stress of the old self, and consciously return to the feeling of gratitude and surrender. Giving up the need to figure out the how, you make yourself available to the infinite ways in which the unknown can manifest. You become a conduit for miracles. The true magnificence of stepping into the unknown lies not in achieving a predictable result, in surrender to a higher power that orchestrates a destiny more beautiful and expansive than you could have ever conceived on your own. This journey is yours to take. It requires courage, persistence, and unwavering belief in a reality greater than the one your senses currently report. You are a creator. You have the power to break the chains of the past, dissolve the old emotional signatures, and step fully into the limitless potential of the unknown. To the practice, hold the vision, and surrender to the intelligence that is waiting to organize a destiny far more magnificent than the one you left behind.